And Lauren, it's all you.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, as Sarah mentioned, today we're going to talk about an overview of the 4-H calendar year. We want to talk about what goes on during the year and how to make sure that you stay informed about everything that is happening. As you'll see, there is a lot that happens throughout the 4-H year, which runs from October 1st through September 30th. And 4-H is not about just going to club meetings and doing your 4-H project work. It's really about youth development. 4-H is a community of young people across the United States who are learning leadership, citizenship, and life skills. And stepping beyond the club and engaging in county, regional, state, and national activities helps to build all of these important skills needed as our youth journey throughout their lives. So let's take a look at some of the programs and activities that occur throughout a typical 4-H year. Our year starts in October, and October is a very important month. As I mentioned, this is when we start the new year, but just as important, October is the month when most counties will hold their achievement and recognition events for 4-H members and volunteers. Nationally, 4-H also promotes itself with an entire week called National 4-H Week, as well as it holds a National 4-H Science Day to promote science learning among our young people. Now, I want to point out that as I go through each month, I'm not going to read the list of everything that's on the slide. I'm going to highlight just some of the programs that are listed. But if you have any questions about a specific program, please type into the chat box your question or hold your question to the end, and we'll make sure to be able to address that at the end of the presentation. So in November, our teens have a great opportunity to learn leadership skills by attending an overnight weekend workshop called Teen Leadership Weekend. And our state dairy members can test their knowledge at the Dairy Challenge. Within the livestock program, our horse and dairy members can earn spots to travel to national contests like the ones that take place in Kentucky every year. And this year, we're sending 2 youth to the National 4-H Congress in Atlanta, Georgia to actually go and assess the program for us. And if they think that this program has merit, then we're going to offer this trip in future years to our teen members. December tends to be a quieter month. Mostly you'll find clubs holding holiday celebrations or doing some kind of holiday community service, or maybe just having fun together, like this dairy club who wanted to do something different, so they organized a club snowshoe tour. Now, I do want to mention one note about holiday celebrations. In 4-H, we don't promote religion, and we want to make sure that all of our young people feel welcomed in the club. So please make sure that your holiday parties are called just that, holiday parties or celebrations, not Christmas parties. And if you do community service, again, make sure that it has a non-denominational framework to it. It's okay to do that kind of service, but just be aware of the religion aspect of it. As we enter the new year, January, things really start ramping up again. We usually host a volunteer training in January, but I would like to point out that this year we are hosting our training on November 2nd and bringing in a national expert on bullying. The registration is currently online, and I'll be showing you later in the presentation how to find information like this and how to register. Also, in January, many counties and regions will start hosting horse and quiz bowls. Many of the livestock clubs will spend a lot of time practicing for these competitions. But don't worry, non-livestock clubs have stuff to do too. They often begin thinking about their regional day. In some counties it's called something different, maybe Spring Showcase, and they'll begin to plan out what they're going to do. They might do a stage performance or a tabletop exhibit, an action exhibit, and there's a host of other categories that they could present in. And January is a good time to start thinking about how you're going to get involved. Now, when we talk about knowing the 4-H year, often it is because there are deadlines for programs that may not happen for many more months. One example is the trip to Citizenship Washington Focus, which takes place in Washington, D.C. at the National 4-H Center. And this year they're offering a new program called Leadership Washington Focus for younger kids in grades 7 through 9. Now, these programs don't happen until July, but because of all of the planning and budgeting and organization that needs to take place, the application for going on these trips is due in January. So you need to pay attention to make sure you don't miss out on opportunities. Just like the deadlines for a trip like Citizenship Washington Focus, the livestock program has strict deadlines. And the first happens in February with the beef steer approval forms being due. And also in conjunction with that, you have the Eastern States beef steer applications as well as applications for the National 4-H Dairy Conference. So even though these activities, again, don't happen for months in the future, you need to start planning and thinking about them in February. In March, we see a lot of quiz bowls going on. The state quiz bowls happen in horse and dairy, sheep, and now poultry. And some counties do begin hosting their regional days. So March is a fun time for all. Now, for those clubs and counties with teen members, April is a very important month because this is when the registrations for teen summer programs become available. Programs such as Teen Congress, Mini Congress, the Natural Resource Management Academy, all of these programs will put out their registrations. So you need to pay attention so again, you are prepared and can plan out activities that will be fun and exciting in the summer. In the livestock area, we see more approval forms being due. And then one program that we offer that we actually bring and is open to many, many schools is our program in embryology. And so our 4-H educator, Martha Manning, is very busy in April coordinating the embryology program. Now, one program we haven't talked about yet is our shooting sports program. In May, volunteer training happens for this program, and only certified 4-H shooting sports volunteers can run these clubs. So knowing when the training happens is extremely critical. If you miss the training, then you won't be able to volunteer for that program. And every May, our biggest state event happens that brings the entire 4-H community together. That program is called State Day. It's held every year at the Barre Civic Center, and all of the top finishers in the regional events, in stage and action exhibits and tabletops, posters, photos, all of the categories that take place at your regional day, certain youth will advance onto State Day and can compete for spots to go on to Eastern States Exposition. So this is a wonderful event to see all of the amazing project work that 4-Hers are doing, and it's a great time to just connect with 4-Hers and their families from all over the state. While horse and dairy are our top livestock programs, we do have other livestock categories and programs for them. And in June each year, our sheep members can attend 4-H Sheep Camp. Also in June, our teen members can congregate at the University of Vermont and attend Teen Congress. Now, the cool thing about Teen Congress is that it's not just for 4-Hers. This program is open to any youth age 13 to 18, and you can come to the UVM and live in the dorms and experience college life and have a lot of fun workshops and social activities and just get to hang out with other 4-Hers and other youth your age while having fun in a campus environment. In July, I have one word, well, actually three, fairs and field days. There are lots of fairs and field days happening in July. But also there's the State Horse Show, there's CWF, or the Leadership Washington Focus Trip, Mini Congress, Shooting Sports Jamboree, Natural Resources Management Academy, and more. So let's face it, July is a busy month. There's a lot going on. And in August, while for some people things quiet down again, for our dairy members it's the State 4-H Dairy Show. And some counties are just getting started with their field and field days. In September, we start approaching the end of our 4-H year, so that means it's time for record books and achievement applications. So let's talk about how do you make the 4-H year a successful one. So for leaders, you want to make sure to communicate to youth and their families about all of these wonderful events that we offer, and communicate often. We live in a noisy world, and oftentimes one announcement won't make it through the noise. So keep reminding them of all of these opportunities, and make sure that you know what the opportunities are so that you're able to communicate with your club. So also make sure that your 4-H year is youth-driven. But don't forget to push youth out of their comfort zones. That's how we learn. So if you have members that don't want to do anything beyond your club, that's okay. But encouraging them to try new things is even better. And so that's when we start talking about adult allies. By this I mean that adults need to be aware of the opportunities, make sure youth and families know about them, encourage them to attend, push youth beyond their comfort zone. Also make sure they know about scholarship opportunities, and make sure they know how to register for these events. Do everything you can to make sure that they are taking advantage of all that 4-H has to offer. Because we do have wonderful programs and a lot of opportunities to help our youth develop their life skills so that they can become capable, caring, and competent adults. So I want to show you today how to find out information, how to find information on our website so that you know where you can go and where you can go and find this information. One area that I'm not going to talk about today, but I do want to make sure you are aware, is we do have Facebook pages and we have a new Twitter account. So just know that we have a very broad social media network, and we do have, through our 4-H educators, many counties create their own calendars and newsletters that they send out so that you can stay on top of all of these opportunities. So before I move on, I can't stress this enough. It's just so critical to make sure you know the deadlines. And I'm going to now move on and show you where to find information on our website. So the first place that you can start is right at the extension website, which is www.uvm.edu/extension. And if you click on, and I've highlighted the areas, if you click on Extension Events, you would find the Extension Event Calendar. And within that, you can find sub-listings for 4-H, whether it's a weekly listing or a month at a glance. And that's going to list throughout the year calendar events. But if you want a little bit more information, you can click on, and highlighted by the red arrow, click on 4-H and Youth. And that takes you to the 4-H page. To go deeper into our website, you then would click on the highlighted 4-H. Now I've highlighted it. When you browse, it will not be highlighted for you, but that's the first place that you would click into. And from there, you see you have a couple of options. Announcements, events, results is one. 4-H calendar is another. And you also can always connect to that extension events page. If we click on the announcement, events, and results, this is where you're going to see information listed for specific events. And as I mentioned, we do have a leader training coming up, and this is where you would find the information related to that. It's our first event listed. It says 4-H leader training, and there's a registration brochure, and if you clicked on that link, it would take you to the brochure for that event to give you more information. And then you can also register online. And again, you would just click on the link that says online registration. Also on this page, and I've highlighted on the right-hand side of the page, there's a column that will list other events and announcements, where you can see the announcement for our Lunch and Learn webinar series. For those of you that are participating today, if you want to participate in future webinars, you can get the entire webinar schedule. That would be listed here. And if you're interested in livestock information, our livestock educator, Wendy Sorrell, has posted very specific livestock information, calendars for dairy, horse, sheep, and so on. So you can find the information right there. Now, some events have dates but may not have brochures or more information yet. So if you clicked on the 4-H calendar, which you can find in 2 locations, and I've highlighted them here, you click on that link and it would take you to our calendar page. Now I know personally for the Teen and Leadership programs, I have dates already set through August, and you would find that information already listed on the calendar, but there may not be the information posted yet to the 4-H event announcements. So if you want to try to plan ahead and know dates, you can go to the calendar and keep, as you see I've highlighted, it says previous 30 days or next 30 days. You can keep clicking on that and advance through the calendar to see what's already been planned for. So there's lots of different ways that you can find information on our website, but if you're not particularly having success finding what you want to, the next best resource is contacting your 4-H educator. And I've listed each county's educator, and the way to contact them via email is by first name, period, last name @uvm.edu. I've also put the information for our state contacts. So if you have a specific question related to a state livestock event, you might want to contact Wendy Sorrell. If you have a question about teen or leadership programs, you would contact me, Lauren Traster, and so on and so forth. So don't ever feel shy about asking questions. We love questions. So with that, I am going to open it up to questions and see if we can help you plan for a successful 4-H year.
And for those of you who do not have access to the phone line is open. You can type in your question down in the chat box below. And we'll wait just a moment or two.
And while we're waiting, I will say that we do our part to try to get the information out about our programs in as many formats as possible. We send email blasts, we put it up on our website, we put notices on Facebook and Twitter. The educators, as I mentioned, will put them in newsletters. For those that aren't connected, we still send information by regular mail when it's requested. So we do try to make sure that people know about the event, but people, 4-H members and families and leaders need to pay attention when the information comes out to make sure that you do know when the registration deadline is, what's required to register, if there's a fee involved, how and when you need to apply for a scholarship. So there's a lot of information and planning that needs to go in to make sure that you can take advantage of all the offerings that we have.
Thank you, Lauren. We'll wait just another moment, another 15, 20 seconds or so to see if there are any questions coming in the chat box. It looks like we might have one question coming up.
Okay. And while it's quiet, what I would like to point out is if you look on the 4-H page, and we do have some specialized pages like 4-H Science and Shooting Sports, Operation Military Kids, Teen and Leadership, and so on. Some of those programs will also post specifically in those areas. I know the Teen and Leadership page does have a program section, and it will list out all of the different programs for the year that are offered within Teen and Leadership. So depending on the age of your child, you may want to go deeper into our website to find information, but everything is at least always posted at this announcement and events page.
Okay. Thank you. And Martha wanted us to point out too that what we didn't go through is the fact that many counties do offer scholarship to attend the many events that we talked about. So each county educator would have the specific information as it relates back to their own county foundation about deadlines and how to go ahead and apply for those scholarships. Thank you, Martha.
Yes, and that's why knowing how to reach your county educator is really important. Because again, there are programs that are county specific that will have their own deadlines, and we didn't really delve into that in this webinar.
Okay, with that, Lauren, I'd like to say thank you for presenting our first 4-H Lunch and Learn mini webinar. I'll let everybody know that the next webinar is scheduled for Friday, November 8th, and the topic for that webinar will be an introduction to 4-H projects presented by Debbie Fajans and Lindy Birch. Also, please note that it looks like the links that are currently on the list that lists all the lunch and learns are not working, and so that web page will be updated very shortly with the web links that are working, and an email will be sent out just like it was today with the link as well as a reminder. Thank you so much for joining, and we hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.